Alright. Got the fixtures. So today we're going after this transmission on this 2011, 2012, I think it's something like that. Dodge Ram 1500, or Ram 1500 I should say. It's not a Dodge product anymore, it's a Ram. So, first thing we're going to do is we're going to remove the drive line. We're going to drain a little bit of juice out here the tail shaft. So this is a 4-wheel drive, so we have this. So I'm thinking that we're going to have to pull the transfer case, make it a little bit lighter for us. So we'll get this out, we'll get the drive line out, and then I'll possibly get this pan out of the way. So I'll keep following, and if you like what I'm doing for you, give me a like, give me a subscribe, and here we go. Alright, so these drive line bolts back here, they're 15, so we're going to pop those off. And they got a little bit of Loctite on them, so they're going to be a little bit tighter. Let's see if I can get this other one here. Well, it's a bad spot. Alright, so with that drive line out of the way, it's leaking a little bit. I got a pan down here to catch everything gross. So we're going to go after these. I think these are 14s or 13s, and get this pan out of the way. And then we're going to go after the harder part, which is getting that drive line off this transfer case. And we'll, maybe I can just disconnect this right now. Yeah, just press that button, unplug. And then we'll have to do a couple clips up here. They'll have to get this disconnected from the transfer case so we got more room. So I'll have to drain this too. So we'll use a 3/8 plug after I get this pan down here, and we'll get that loose and drain the transfer case.
Now we're draining out the fluid, and we're gonna put the cap back in once it's drained out quite a bit. So I've hopped around a little bit here. Here's the front drive line. I've taken my bolts out of here. Then I'm gonna pan over to my metal clip here that goes around this rubber booty. You have to just pry up. This clip comes undone, and then your drive line will pull out once you get your other bolts out of there. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna take we're working on our nuts here to hold the transmission to the transfer case, and then we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna have to support the tail end of the transmission in order to get the motor or the transmission mount out to give access to these other bolts you can't get to at the bottom.
Alright, so I got all my transfer case bolts except for one here at the very top, and I'm going to leave it there because I had an epiphany that I need to drop this oil pan before I do anything up, because the seal, all the fluid's being held back with the seal. Once I take this transfer case off, it may or may not leak. So I'm going to take these, I think these are 8s, and I should be able to get all of them even though this exhaust is in the way. So we're going to get all these 8s, and I'm going to get my big pan, we're going to catch all the fluid, and that should be what we have to do. These 8s. So I gotta remove all this stuff anyways, because you bought a Jasper transmission and you gotta ship back the core. Even if you're getting a rebuilt transmission of some different type, you have to take the filter out and drain the transmission, because if you don't, they get kind of angry. Alright, so we got this all exposed. So this is our filter here, and this little screw here is a 27. So we're gonna grab this little guy and we're just gonna put that in a safe spot, because you don't want to lose that. The new transmission may come with one, so I'm gonna put that in a safe little spot. And then this filter, probably gonna squirt. Yep, there we go. Squirt this one off, and then a little bit more fluid out of the filter here. So then I will pop this one off. Doop. So now I just gotta put the our pan back on, and then let it drain for a little bit longer, then it's ready to. So while I'm here, I'm gonna go ahead and take these clips out. So this is what holds the line in. So I've got my special tool in here, and I've circled it around so that now I'm just gonna pull this out. Oh, you got your clip here. Oh, yep, pops out. Yep, see how it moves a little bit. Alright, so I've gotten this exhaust out of the way. As you can see, it was a pain in the butt. And actually, the way this was, I had to cut one of the pipes, and I cut the other pipe, not realizing that I didn't have to, because I think I should have enough room to leave this one here and drop this. Because what it is you gotta support your transmission, drop this out of the way, so that I can get this mount off, so that I can get my last couple bolts for my transfer case, which are hidden down here underneath all this. I don't know if you look in there if you can see them, but they're right in here somewhere. So we're gonna have to take that off, and that should allow the transfer case to pop. So with all this loose, we're gonna start popping the connectors. Got this connector here, and I got this 14 here, and that 14 down there. Get that loose. And get this connector here. I think you push on this, and it does something. I'll figure it out. But I think I can just pull this off here. So these bolts are 13s that hold this in, and you have this 115 right here to hold it into place. And this is part of the bracket, so I might have to take this one down here off anyways. You see, in order to get our transmission out.
Your starter has a heat shield here that needs to be taken off, so I've taken these bolts off, take the heat shield off.
All this bolts here, you get a 15 on this, break that loose, get a 15 on this, I'm gonna break that loose. Alright, so we're gonna take this skid plate off here in the front, get more access to things. Alright, so we got this stuff a little more free. This is more free. Push this down, push on this, and that goes down. It releases this connector a little bit better. There we go. And I might have to put it down, use two hands to get it out here.
Start out of the way, I can get access to these bolts, and now push this harness out of the way. I think I got all the connectors, might be some that are hidden, and I'm going to go after my flex plate bolts here. Just want to make sure they're rotating in the right direction. You're going to have to bring it down a little bit to get access to these a little better, and get your socket on there and break them loose. Okay, so now I got a screwdriver here. I'm going to rotate it with a screwdriver, and then after that I'm going to have my transmission supported on the pan with my tranny jack, and I'm going to take this cross member out that supports the back end of the transmission, and I'm also going to take my bolts loose from my mount, which I may have already done, but I'm going to get these bolts loose and pull them out. Alright, so that's out. It's on the ground, marked with an arrow pointing towards the front, so I know which way it came out. Now I can get access to my last couple transfer case bolts, and they're hidden on the other side. You can see between there a little bit that they're up in there. So I'm going to have to get those, and then I should be able to pop my transfer case and make it a little easier to come out. First we got to get these last transmission mount bolts out. They're kind of a pain to get to. Just kind of push the transmission mount out of the way, you can get to it. So I pulled my mount out, marked it with another arrow so I know which way it came out. And here are remaining transfer case bolts that I can get to. And here I'm removing my remaining my connectors from my transmission and transfer case to make sure it can pop out. Alright, and here I'm taking the 10 for my dipstick, and it should just pop out of the way once I get the bolt that holds it on to the transmission up top. And then I can push it out of the way, and then we can get it out of there. Alright, so with the transmission out, we have, this is where the bolt goes for a dipstick, and then we're just looking at the flex plate. So here's our new transmission, and you gotta do everything to their specs and specifications. So here's the old one, and here is the new one. So we're just gonna do off the list what they say. These are the new plugs. You don't want to put any Teflon tape on them or it will crack the case. So you just want to put them in there dry. And here I'm just switching over all the old sensors to the new transmission and taking the plugs out of the new transmission and switching it over. I've switched over all the pieces that I can see. There's a lot of stuff on this side that I need to switch over, and it's been switched. And you always want to check for a new filter. You can see the new filter inside this transmission. So that's why I didn't take the pan off. You can look in here a little bit better. And we can see the new spin-on filter right there and the new pan filter. So I don't have to drop the pan. It came shipped with a new filter, so we're happy. So here's the old torque converter. Always got to drain it, suck out as much as you can, because it's got to get shipped with the old transmission. If it has fluid in it, they get angry when it leaks onto their freight truck or whatever. So it's Plus, it's like a hazard. So you always want to make sure everything's drained as best as possible if you're going to ship something back for a quote.
Alright, so I got this into place here. I flushed the transmission as recommended by them. So when you do these plugs, don't do Teflon, as it says in their installation certificate, or where the hell they have, what it's called, because it'll actually crack the housings. So just go in bare. And then, so I got this line back up, and got this one on this side. Now we're gonna go. Alright, we're gonna go here. We got another one on this side. We're gonna try to start. And I'm just gonna thread it in there. As you can see, you got stuff here that's trying to creep in between. You want to do a good once over of all this once you do it. Yep, there she goes. So now, pop that out. Make sure everything is happy. Pull it out of the way. And while I was getting my transmission into place, you guide this down through. So this is going to go onto a bolt up here. And you just push that down. Put your 10 back into place. And put your clips back in here and all that good stuff. And we can go back together. So, these two here. You got this bracket. Go in. We gotta make sure that our torque converter's lined up. Get our bolts in. And our new torque converter comes with these bolts. Okay. So you can see that bracket there? Oh, shoot. So, as you can see, everything's fairly close. I feel in here, move my torque converter a little bit. And I think the bolt's right there almost. Alright, so I'm actually going to have to suck this up a little bit more in order to get the torque converter bolts to line up correctly. So I've got my big 17 volts sucked in some, but still got to bring up the top a little bit to make everything happy. So I'll do this to the opposing bolts too. So I had the two top bell housing bolts tight and then just backed them off, and I was able to position this upright so I could see it. So now I can get my screw into place. There she goes. Alright, fixers, so with the bolts in, I have my shaft, I have my ratchet here on the front of the crankshaft, and I'm using a 13/16 bolt, so that way I can rotate my pan. Let's see if I can get you guys a good angle here. There goes my flashlight. And let's see. We're just gonna rotate it. Oh, but you can see I'm almost there. So we're gonna rotate just a little bit more. So once I got all the bolts into place, then you're free to start tightening things up with the ratchet. So these are 14s. So I got my bell housing and all that stuff tied, so I might as well just put these clips back in right now and put my lines on, because why not, huh? So we're gonna just kind of work them around like this. Doop, that one's in. Then we got another one here up on the top. Yeah. And then alright, sometimes you gotta tap them a little bit because they're not quite lined up. So I'm gonna alright, so what I did was I pulled the line this way, and then with one hand and pushed down with the other, I got both these in. So you want to make sure all 3 clips are lined up. 1, 2, 3. 1. So I think I got them all. I'm gonna get down a little bit more on this one. Yeah, all 3. Alright, so here I'm putting my transfer case nuts back on. Bolts, getting them all into place. I think that's what I'm doing. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to go after our mount and get our mount back into place. Once we get our mount back into place, we start putting everything else back in and putting our support beam back in and then just back together. Alright, so I got my support back in, so now I can fill my transfer case with training fluid, or I think whatever it calls for. Whatever the fluid calls for, that's what I filled it up with. And so the bottom plug's tight from earlier, and now we're going to add it, and then we're going to unscrew it. So that's it, fixers. Thanks for watching. So once you get the transmission back in there, you want to run it. I put like 5 or 6 quarts in there for initial pickup. Start it, make sure it's on the stick. Once it's on the stick, then I just let it idle, and then we'll check it once it gets hot, because there's a increment for hot and cold. So that's how to do it. Just use your manufacturer specific fluid. So thanks for watching. Really appreciate it. If you have any questions or like that, please just comment down below. And if you like what I'm doing for you, give me a like and subscribe, and wait for the next video. So thanks for watching. Yeah.
Fixer good.
Yeah, fixer. B-roll.